Well, hello and welcome to Uncommon Knowledge for Seniors. I'm your host, Jim Moran, a realtor and banking executive with over 35 years of experience. This podcast is your go-to resource for navigating the complex world of real estate and senior living transitions. Each week, we'll dive into topics and resources that matter the most to you, from retirement communities, real estate planning, to reverse mortgages, trusts, memory care, elder abuse, and more. And whether you're a senior, a family member, caregiver, or a real estate professional, we're here to provide you with the most valuable insights and practical trustworthy advice from some of the best experts in the business. Thank you for joining us, and let's get started. Well, welcome to the first Uncommon Knowledge for Seniors podcast. I want to thank Ginger Bell for being here today. She's been instrumental in making this whole thing happen. And I'm your host, Jim Moran. I'm a broker with Cascade Sotheby's in Bend, Oregon. Ginger, how about some questions today?
Questions are always good. So, first and foremost, Jim, I just want to really have a conversation about why you're starting this podcast. This is a crazy idea, starting a podcast for seniors, but we know it's so needed right now. So what's your thought behind starting this?
Well, it is, going back years ago, my folks had uh, they're going through the process of getting older and retiring and the whole thing. My dad had Parkinson's. My mom later got deeply into dementia. And honestly, I was taken aback by what I didn't know and
Yeah.
what I didn't know that I didn't know. And it had everything to do with like my dad's VA benefits. Really was unclear about that. What about the different things around that could be of a support, and just didn't know.
Yeah.
And frankly, it was, they were living in a the two-story home that they could have gotten out of, and all these kinds of things. So needless to say, that made an impression on me. And I've just gotten to the point where I if I can help somebody else not have to go through some of the pain, agony that I went through, my parents went through, and just simply because they didn't know. And the senior community is vastly underserved in terms of services and all that. And this is back in a time when the internet, it wasn't quite as robust as it is now. But frankly, you have to look out for the internet too. There's a lot of scams and things like that
Right.
that come to play. And um, it's it's just not easy.
Yeah. Well, and you're so right. I similar thing I went through with my parents and my father as well. We didn't understand the VA benefits. And the VA does a great job as far as providing those benefits, but not always a great job as far as providing the education and getting through what you need to know and how it works together. And so, that's a great thing about this podcast. It's not just for seniors, but it's also for those individuals that are looking at those challenges and going through those challenges and helping seniors to be able to navigate this, right?
Well, you're right. It's the family, it's the friends, it's people that are that are helping in the process. And that's also true of the issues with Medicaid, Medicare, getting a trust, um, having those kinds of things that are going to be able to help you age in place. Is your home really going to be good for that? Are there other options? What kinds of things can we do? And once again, if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's a whole nother thing because we went through my mother-in-law had a beautiful house in Laurelhurst, and she lived alone and was very self-reliant, but it was a three-story house.
Mhm.
And so, her bedroom's obviously on the top floor and then the middle floor, and the laundry room was all the way down in the basement. Now, this house was built in the late 1800s. So the staircase, they had the short little stairs, they're very narrow, and she would have to take the laundry up and down the stairs. Not difficult for someone, that's very agile, But as she was aging, we were always so worried about her falling. And it happened that she did fall. It was right in the beginning of COVID. My husband had taken her to Costco to get TP'd, like everybody was back in the day. And she fell in the driveway
Mhm.
and hurt her back. And so she ended up spending 6 months with us in our house during COVID. And that part of it was challenging, just, where can she go and how do we take care of her? And so we'd had several conversations with her saying, Anne, you need to sell, it's time to sell. And can you move into a condo? Can you move into a one-story house? And there's not a lot of one-story houses that are available. Now, I know you're a real estate agent in Bend. Are you seeing more builders building houses that
Well,
are
yeah,
one story?
we are that's it's still a battle. They still get more money for the two-story home. There's
Right.
no getting around that, and land's precious here. But it's not impossible. I think the bigger issue is getting the resident to realize that they just need to do this. And
Yeah,
and and so, like to your point, that they're going to get hurt. And what if they don't have a family that's going to take care of them?
right.
What if that's not available? Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? And um, that's that's just crazy. I've
Yeah.
had clients over and over again that have, fallen in their house, like you're saying, and then break their hip. And it's like, we told you that's what was going to happen.
We try not to be, I
You
told you so.
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's almost, and the thing too, and this is what I love about you starting this podcast, is because sometimes, and I think a lot of your listeners will be the children
Mhm.
of parents, because that is really the key, is being able to help find those resources. As a senior, finding those resources, people definitely want to age in place. I completely understand that. Makes sense. And so knowing what those resources are and how you can do that, or find a home to be able to do that, whether it be a single family, just a one level or a condo or something like that, or even, getting your home to where you can do, your retro with your bathrooms and your showers and things like that. In fact, I think that's part of your plan and your guest, is to be able to have guests on to talk about that, right?
Well, that's right. We have a great mobility guy. That's what I call him, and he
Perfect.
he puts together the ramps. He puts together uh, the hand holders and the widens the doors and all those kinds of things that need to happen, and as they need to happen, you can make that work. But you can't do that with a two-story house. And yeah, you can have a little ramp going up and down and all that, but
Right.
still, it's just not the same. They can get something smaller, tighter, little tiny yard close to everything, and that could work. That is possible. And the folks living on their 2 or 3 acres, it was a wonderful thing to have here in Bend, and it was a nice big two-story house and all that. They just uh, not that they can't handle it, they probably don't want to handle it. They like to be able to shut the door and go places and go do a few things. So,
Right. Well, and knowing what those options are, and part of it begins with, first of all, where are you at right now? Where are you looking at 5 years, 10 years of making it to where you can age in place? And I think that's what's important too. Just like we have a financial plan for retirement, being able to have a plan to be able to age in place in your home is very important as well. So what that option is. And then also, one of the things, being able to say, okay, financially, Social Security, when do I take out Social Security? What are my options with VA? So I know you have plans to have guests on about that as well, right?
yeah. And the other thing is trusts and probates and wills. There's
Yeah.
so much misinformation about that right now, and a lot of folks are reluctant to do it. I had a client that I said, hey, has your dad set up a trust? And he goes, I've talked to my dad. My dad says, you guys just don't worry about a thing. I've got that all covered. I've got it all handled. Here's the card of the attorney you need to talk to when things go south, and I've got it all figured out. Well,
Yeah.
he passes away. They call the attorney. The attorney says, I've been waiting for your dad to come in here and do all this stuff for years, and he hasn't done a darn thing. And
Oh,
what's so that was 3-4 years ago. They're still unwinding those circumstances, and
yep.
it's you got to ask those second level questions. It's, where is it, Dad? What's it look like? What's the deal? What's it going to do?
Yeah.
And there's the whole embarrassment and all that kind of stuff about it that comes into play. And
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and you think about, and I mean that you bring up an interesting topic because, making that plan even before you reach the age of retirement is important, and communicating that plan with your kids, with your adult children. And sometimes, yes, those are hard conversations. I went through something very similar. My dad passed away in 2012 and had a long battle with dementia and cancer, was a veteran. And then my mother started having some health issues, which the doctor kept saying, oh, you're in mourning. Of course, you're having this. Well, come to find out, she ended up with pancreatic cancer. And she had gone to an attorney, but being very proud German woman, I took her to the attorney, but I was not allowed to be in the room. And so we knew she had a will. The will, we did not know where it was. And so I did know the attorney's name, and because I had taken him there, but because she got cancer so quickly and it had spread to her brain, she did not have the wherewithal to
Mhm.
do the next steps. And so when we started having those conversations, it was too late
Yeah.
because there was no conversations to have. And talk about crippling. So, as hard as it is as adult children to have those conversations, I equate it to having a teenager with an attitude. It's kind
Well,
of
you're right,
like,
and they become our children, I think, at a certain point, and
yeah,
you have
it's
to
hard.
realize that, and they have to realize that, and you've got to put it out there and make it happen. It's
Yeah.
and obviously easier said than done because you haven't had to do that all your life. So,
Right. Well, and I know part of the whole purpose in starting this podcast is to have those counselors on, and how do you have those conversations and how can you frame those? Because a lot of it goes into that. So creating a plan and having a strategy. And that's why, again, I'm so excited for you to start this podcast to be able to do that. I want to talk about statistics a little bit because I know you are licensed as a real estate agent in Oregon. So what are you seeing as far as the percentage of the population that are over the age of 65 in Oregon?
well, here I guess it's reaching. Well, in Bend specifically, I know we just looked this up, but that was what 15, 16%.
Yeah, almost
I'm
17% of the
frankly a little
population.
kind of surprised. I thought it'd be higher than that here, but
Yes,
it might be different for the surrounding areas as well. But
right.
there's a lot of them for sure, and like we talked about, the people turning 65, 10,000 of them a day,
Wow, that's
and just
crazy.
that demographic is huge, and um, a lot of them are prepared. They haven't maybe saved enough money. There's all that kind of thing, and don't really know the options that they might have uh, to be okay with that.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and that's important too. I do a lot of work in the mortgage and real estate business. We provide, support and training and content and things like that. And one of the things that we see, especially with our mortgage clients, is the lack of knowledge of products like HUD has their HECM, and it's, been called a reverse mortgage. I like to call it a retirement mortgage because it really is part of that retirement. And what is always amazing to me is how many realtors don't know that you can use a reverse mortgage to buy a home, right?
And even worse than that is to have your real estate broker tell you you shouldn't get one of those.
Exactly.
And not knowing how they work. In the last senior real estate class that I did, I had 20 brokers in that class, and half of them have told their client that, that's not something you should do. And I said, why are you even saying that?
Right.
And they say, well, gosh, I guess I really don't know. And that was because I've once again seen that over and over and over again. It's literally saved their bacon on so many levels and so many times. And they get to where they look at it and they see the numbers and they see how the thing works and they see what it's going to do and they see what it's going to mean to them. God, I didn't know that's how it worked.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's how it worked. And now you do. Well, then why wouldn't I do that?
Right.
And it gets to that. And a lot of them, frankly, a lot of the mortgage brokers, that some of them don't do that. They don't offer that FHA loan, which is crazy to me,
Yeah.
especially with the demographic of people that are coming up that are going to need them. It's
Right.
like, well, you have to know a little more, or
Yeah.
gosh, it's so hard to do. Well, isn't that what you do? So I really get annoyed about that, because you know, and people say, well, gosh, I'm just going to get a second. I'm going to get a HELOC. I can do that. And it's like, oh, so you're going to take the proceeds of the HELOC to make the payments on the HELOC going forward, is what you're going to do.
Right.
Gosh, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
So,
that, and again, goes back into the part, the whole planning thing. But I want to back up because you were talking about teaching real estate agents. And I know that you are an instructor for a certification program with NAR, the National Association of Realtors. So tell me about that.
well, several years ago, the National Association of Realtors developed a course, and it's called the Senior Real Estate Specialist. It's a 2-day, 250-page class on all the different issues that the seniors are going through.
Right.
Everything like we talked about, like the trust, Medicare, Medicaid, aging in place, the reverse mortgages, all those kinds of things. And it's a 12-hour, 2-day course. It's kind of like drinking out of a fire hose, but at the end of the day, it gives the real estate broker a leg up in terms of some of these issues, and being able to address them. And who would think a real estate broker would be able to address these kinds of things? And it makes them special. It makes them more
Yeah.
valuable. And they get a designation, and there's a really robust website with marketing materials and blogs and all these kinds of informational things. If they get it and they use it, it's it's really valuable. And it doesn't make them an attorney. It doesn't make them a tax
Right.
professional. It doesn't make them that kind of thing. But they can sure as heck ask them questions, and they can sure as heck direct people to
Right.
I don't know that, but here's who does.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
being
that's
that
really what it's
specialist.
all about. Yeah.
Yeah. Just being that specialist because yeah, and this is what I love about that program. So, you're licensed in Oregon, but I have a feeling there's probably realtors that may be listening to this that are licensed in other states as well. And so, it's one of those things as a community, whether you're in the mortgage industry or the real estate industry, to work together to learn more and to be able to work with other people that have that knowledge, that have that expertise. So building that network of people who can help support and help provide some of those resources is important. So, if you're a real estate agent listening to this and you're, in another state, you have someone, hey, they want to retire. And I know Bend has had a lot of people moving into the area from out of state as well, because it is such a great place. In fact, you moved to Bend from Washington, the state of Washington, in Seattle, right?
That's right. Yeah. And it's such an incredible place to live.
Yeah.
It's the antithesis of what you think Oregon is. A lot of folks think it's the wet and the cloudy days and all that kind of thing. And it's anything but that. It's warm and sunny, and yeah, it gets cold in the winter like it's supposed to, but the winters aren't really all that debilitating, and but
Right.
there's no question about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. So, that's important to be able to, again, build that network of like-minded people who want to be able to provide the help and the support. Whether you're, a senior yourself, or if you are an adult child of seniors, being able to have that. So you're starting the podcast, you're going to be publishing weekly, right? So
Mhm.
new episodes every single week. Give me a little sneak peek. Who's on your guest list? Who do you think you're going to be having on?
Well, I think I have. I like to think I know the best people in town in terms of what they do. I've got a really great trust attorney. His name's Will Dennis, and we've actually done several seminars together already at the senior center and that kind of thing. And
Nice.
he's just great. He's very down to earth, it has some very simple conversations about what you need to do and what that's going to look like and what it means to you. And he tries to keep it as simple as possible. And it's a hard thing to do for trust, but
Right.
that's the thing. There's another woman that does Medicaid Advantage insurance broker.
Right.
So she's a specialist in all those lines of retirement insurance, and
Nice.
she's just great. She knows it all, and it's very much about the client. It's not, this. It's just, what are your circumstances? Let's talk about that and get that.
Right. And putting a plan in place. And I
Yeah.
think, and again, it all goes back to having the knowledge, making sure that you have the resources. So getting connected, listening to the podcast weekly, being able to connect with the individuals and the guests you're having on to be able to help you to create that plan.
Well, that's it. And folks really need to be able to reach out, and if they don't see what they need, and if I don't know, I can find it.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing.
I have no doubt about that. I know you do not have a problem with that at all. You're gonna be able to find that resource and to be able to get that information. So, okay, so what else do you want to leave with before we wrap up?
Well, I've just this feels really good, Ginger, and I'm excited to be able to do this. I think it's going to be a lot of help to folks, and if we can just keep it humorous, keep it simple, keep it quick, keep it viable, um, I think it's going to be a great success. And I once again thank you for helping me put this together.
Yes.
And if folks need to reach out to me, I'm at Cascade Sotheby's in Bend, Oregon. And we can put the numbers here on the
Yep. We'll put
so
the website there. And then if you want to follow along, your website address is.
Uncommon Knowledge for Seniors.
Yep. So you can go to uncommon knowledgeforseniors.com. And I know you have a web page there, and obviously connected to your web page as well. But stay tuned. You can listen on all of the streaming platforms. So if you are an avid podcast listener, and I know a lot of our seniors are, so it'll be on Apple, on Spotify, on iTunes, on Amazon, and then of course on YouTube. So if you can listen, you can listen. If you want to watch the video, then you can go to YouTube and it'll have everything there. So if you go to the website, uncommon knowledgeforseniors.com, then you can tune in for new episodes every week. So Jim, thank you so much for allowing me to do this with you and to join you on this journey.
The exchanger. Thank you for listening to this episode of Uncommon Knowledge for Seniors. I hope you found the information valuable and inspiring. And if you have topics or circumstances you'd like us to address, please let us know. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and visit our website. We're at www.uncommonknowledgeforseniors.com for more resources and to schedule a confidential consultation. And until next time, I'm Jim Moran, reminding you to embrace your next chapter with confidence and clarity. Take care.